computer. Let's
Great.
rock and roll.
Great.
Okay, so I will go in Spanish, okay, to say hello to everybody and introduce yourself.
Maybe we
And
can wait a little bit. I see people are coming.
it's okay.
Yeah, let's give it another 2-3 minutes.
Yeah,
You
people are
say
coming.
I'm kind of very sharp
That's okay.
in my meetings. However, bueno, vamos a ver por aquí, darle la bienvenida aquí a las personas. Por aquí está nuestro socio cofundador Dalmiro Yarza, está Milagros, está Silmar. Wow, qué bueno tenerlos. Hoy va a ser una noche diferente, hoy va a ser una noche especial. Hoy tenemos la oportunidad de compartir con dos eminentes científicos a nivel mundial, personas que están haciendo cosas que nadie en Latinoamérica está hablando. Y bueno, nosotros en Edutecnia, que es nuestra empresa, tenemos el placer y el honor de tener a estas dos personas que han tenido resultados en sus áreas de investigación. Quiero comentarles que Alex está conectándose desde Vancouver, Canadá, y su padre, Anatoly, está en este momento en Israel, donde son las 3 de la mañana. Sin embargo, bueno, está mostrando aquí el compromiso que tiene con este webinar. La información que vamos a ver o la agenda, como vamos a tener este webinar, va a ser de la siguiente manera. Primero, ellos van a saludarlos. Después vamos a pasarles un video que por ser en inglés, yo tuve que hacer varias cosas para que se tradujera. El video dura 31 minutos. Después de estas 31 minutos vamos a abrir un espacio de preguntas, ¿verdad? Estas preguntas ustedes las van a hacer en español, yo las voy a traducir al inglés y obviamente después lo que ellos respondan yo lo traduzco nuevamente al español. Entonces, sin más que añadir, vamos a agradecer a Dios por permitirnos estar aquí y en este primer webinar de Edutecnia y que sea el primero de muchos y que logremos nuestro objetivo, que es despertar conciencia y lograr que la educación llegue a todos los rincones de nuestro hermoso planeta. Así que, let's get started. Well, Alex, you can introduce yourself.
Yep. So thank you, first of all, and my apologies for just studying Spanish, so I'm far away from being able to talk, but we'll get there. Thank you for having us, first of all, and thank you for Romano and anybody from Edutecnia for having this opportunity. Probably as you guys understood that we have recorded the session previously, so we have an opportunity to translate it. Myself and Anatoly, we father and son, as you could imagine, and we started this business about a couple of years ago, officially incorporated just recently. We started as basically two engineers trying to fight the problem of
Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. How engineers basically solving problems and innovate eventually, and apparently there is a way to do that in a much more better and much more systematic way. And it brought us to the question: how do we educate people, and how do we allow them to use specific tools that they can do it at work or in studies, or even potentially educate kids or students at any age to take this methodology forward. I'm myself an engineer, software engineer by trade, and electronics engineer in education. Been in the industry for a while, and that's about it. Anatoly, you wanna introduce yourself?
Well, first let me translate to our public. So, bueno, Alex es un ingeniero, tiene experiencia en desarrollo del pensamiento, el pensamiento crítico, y bueno, es uno de los cofundadores de la empresa Guru, tiene ya más de 20 años de experiencia, está en Vancouver, Canadá, y junto con Anatoly decidieron crear este emprendimiento, pero básicamente lo que ellos persiguen es enseñar a las personas a resolver problemas a través de herramientas. Estas herramientas ustedes las pueden conseguir en su plataforma, pero lo más importante es que cada uno de nosotros puede acercarse a ellos de manera personal o de manera institucional para plantearles cualquier tipo de problema y a través de estas herramientas, que muchas de ellas están apalancadas por inteligencia artificial, pueden ser resueltas a través de diferentes mecanismos. ¿Ok? Entonces, bueno, felicitaciones a Alex, felicitaciones, also congratulations to Anatoly for your second year in Priest Guru. I know it was a couple of days ago, so for us it's a pleasure to greet you today. Anatoly,
Thank you so much.
would you like to say something
Yeah,
to our participants, please?
yeah. I'm very glad to see all of you, and I'm chemist, doctor of chemistry, been working a long time in academy and published about 100 scientific papers and fat book about chemistry. If you Google my name, you can find that it's people are still reading it. But what I mainly deal in my life is I solve problem, and we got this situation where to be just engineer is not good enough. We should be problem solvers.
Exactly.
Therefore, we started to create this platform and create this site together with Alex, and I believe we can help people with that, and I believe you will help us as well.
That's my dog, sorry. That's all we have. It's always happening.
It's good. It's good. He said he's I understand dogs.
She agrees.
Yeah,
She absolutely
agrees.
agrees.
Exactly agrees. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Sophie. So, bueno, para que entremos en contexto sobre quién es este personaje que nos acompaña, que se llama Anatoly, es un doctor en química pura y tiene, bueno, muchísimas publicaciones en internet, ha escrito varios libros también. Y él más allá de pensar que se necesitan buenos ingenieros en el mundo, piensa que se necesitan ingenieros que aprendan a resolver problemas. Y toda esta filosofía detrás de la ingeniería del pensamiento es de lo que se trata nuestro webinar el día de hoy. ¿Ok? Así que bueno, vamos a poner ahorita este video que tiene subtítulos. Mientras tanto, nosotros vamos a apagar nuestros micrófonos y nuestras cámaras. El video dura 31 minutos. Cuando termine el video, vamos a abrir un espacio para que ustedes hagan unas preguntas, cualquier curiosidad que tengan. Y la idea es precisamente que nosotros seamos los difusores de esta información con nuestros amigos, con profesores, con educadores que no tienen ni idea de que esto existe, y precisamente eso hace que nuestra misión sea aún más interesante. Así que, bueno, que lo disfruten. Aquí se los dejo.
Romana, just before we kick it off,
Yes.
Just if anybody has questions on the way while we watch the video, please let's put them on the chat so we can address them after the recording.
I'm sorry.
I'm saying if anybody has questions on the way during the video, let's put them on the chat, on the Zoom chat, and we'll answer them after that.
Sí, sí, es importantísimo que mantengan todos los micrófonos cerrados y que entiendan que las preguntas las vamos a responder al final. Ok, gracias.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Let's rock and roll.
Enjoy. Meet you. My name is Alex. Anatoly and myself, we both co-founders of Breeze Guru. And today we're going to present a webinar about engineering thinking, the missing piece in modern education. But first of all, I want to express my appreciation for our friends from Edutechnia, and specifically to Romano, to allowing us to present this webinar. And hopefully we have more collaborations in the future. So, engineering thinking. Again, we want to concentrate what is the missing piece in our modern education and why is it important. As usual, we starting with a quote. And today's quote is from Socrates that says, "I cannot teach anybody anything. I can only make them think." And we'll talk about this in this webinar. So the agenda for today is we're going to go do a little bit of introduction about Pieza and about ourselves. We'll talk about what is engineering in general and who are engineers. What's going on with the current education systems today, how they train engineers. Romana, I think it looks like it stopped.
Hola. Interrumpí el video porque me di cuenta que los subtítulos se cortan en la parte de abajo. I mean, subtitles are like just showing part of it.
Oh.
So I'm not going to put the whole screen. I'm going, okay, this way. Voy a hacer una cosita por acá. Okay. Vamos a ver así.
What is missing and why? What's the cost of that gap? Then we'll dive into problem solving with engineering thinking approach. And we'll go through a couple of examples, and then we want to present the ecosystem of Pieza as a whole. And what does it give us? What does it allow us to do? And we'll touch a little bit about AI, since it's a very trending word today. So, excuse me. So, Pieza Guru, we are a platform that built to help people to solve problems and work on innovation projects. As I mentioned, we both co-founders, Anatoly Aguliansky and Alex Aguliansky himself. As you can imagine, we are a family. And I'll let Anatoly to introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Anatoly. I'm a doctor of chemistry. I've been working a long time in academy and in industry. And what I learned, which is very important, that I learned what does it mean good engineer. A good engineer in today's situation is a problem solver. So if you wanna succeed in, doesn't matter, in academy or in industry, please learn how to solve problems. We're getting into the world of problem solving. Thank you.
Again, my name is Alex. I like to think about Anatoly as the brains behind the operation. I'm more just executing and building, helping to build the product itself. I have quite some years in R&D and product development and software world and SaaS products and mostly in startups, where again, problem solving is extremely important, and especially when you competitive startup world, it's important to understand how it impacts your growth as a startup or even a mid-sized company, and definitely a large company is no exception. So let's start. First of all, we want to answer the question of what is engineering, and many times we going and digging out some definitions from dictionaries, and these are the three examples that we kind of wanted to focus on. First is engineering is a discipline dedicated to problem solving. Great. Another one that we found, an engineer is a person who uses scientific knowledge to solve problems. And the third, engineers are groundbreakers, finding solutions to complex problems across a range of industries. So as you can see, all three of these, and there's probably much more definitions that we can find, they all concentrating on engineers and problem solving. Anywhere you look, it's always engineers and problem solving. Now, in our current education systems, we teaching math, physics, electronics, programming, science, many different subjects, and these are really tools to take us further in our career development. But the thing is, the students, young or university students, they coming out with a knowledge of these tools, but they don't really know how to apply them. They don't know how to glue it together. And for the most part, when people get into the industry as a freshman, they almost starting from scratch. They need to now learn how to use all of these tools and subjects that they learned in the universities or in schools, and actually apply it in a real world. And it really depends on how good the mentor that you find in that industry, in that new company that you're landing as your first job, first, second, and so on as you progress in your career. So in this little bubble of how do we use different subjects, the education system today doesn't really help. Excuse me. So the reason that it's happening, that first of all, we need to understand that engineering system is talking to us. Engineering systems have a voice. And when any system fails, or there's a failure, there's a problem, there is an opportunity for us to grow and actually innovate. But we're approaching the humanity today, approaching these failures in two different ways. One is something called containment. And realistically, it's just fixing something that is broken, and it's going back to basics. For example, it's punctured tire. We just making sure that the air doesn't run out, so we glue the hole, and then we it kind of back to normal. Or the pipe is leaking, so we're fixing the pipe. The window is broken, we're fixing the window. But realistically speaking, it's not really helping us in any progress. We're just putting the system back to where it used to be before it broke, right? So we see that as a lost opportunity. The other approach is to actually solve the problem. An example with a window is, how do we make sure that window never breaks, right? How do we change the approach? How do we change the system in a way that it never breaks, or maybe there is no window because it's not needed anymore? This is where the innovation happens. And this is actually the gain opportunity where we can potentially even make money, create new products, create new processes, and so on. Unfortunately, today, a lot of companies and a lot of engineers, so-called, they actually trying to fix what's broken. And as we mentioning here, don't fix what's broken, try to innovate. Now, one note about the cost that this lack of innovation creates in the world. There is a lot of studies done on the market by different companies like Accenture, who said that basically 90% of new products fail in the world. Or PwC, they're saying over half of the companies, they struggle with innovation processes and their business strategies. And there's a lot of studies like similar to that. Bottom line, the cost of innovation as of 2019 is $1.4 trillion a year, and it's actually growing at the rate of 17.4%. So just imagine, what can we, if we fix that, what can we gain from it? So, since we talked about the problem solving, let's dive into that. And we see problem solving as a science. It's not just trial and error. It is a science that can be and should be taught. Now, the origin of problem solving is actually coming from the patents. There's a lot of patents in the world being created by many different people that, they came across a problem, they found a solution, documented it, and patents is really a documentation of a solution, a particular solution. Now, by studying all of these patents, and it's important to understand that studying all of them and systematization of all of the patents, we can actually learn how people thought when they came up with this particular solution. What was their thought process? What was their engineering thinking, right? Now, interesting fact to mention as well is, as you probably know, many examples in the history that different people in different parts of the world came across similar problem and came up with a similar solution. They provided a similar solution. So it's interesting. Why is that? And the reason for that any engineering systems, they evolve, their evolution is governed by objective law. And what that means is we don't really have a choice of how the system is going to develop. Like an example of an iPhone or any smartphone today. It's not, it looks like it does today, not because the designer was very smart or genius. No, because he didn't really have a choice. That's the only choice he had. Same with the computers, same with the car today, or anything, in fact, that is getting developed and evolve over time. So by learning these laws and understanding how to work with them, we can get better at problem solving and eventually innovate. Now, the objective laws, they have three major pillars, three major components, if you will. First of all engineering systems, they evolve with one target, to satisfy our client, to satisfy our customers' needs. The second is every system, any engineering system in the world will be made out of multiple different parts or components. These components will always be different in how well they developed, how far they developed. You will have one component that is more developed and very innovative, very efficient and everything, and some other components that least innovative and least efficient. And of course, many times we investing in the least efficient to improve our products. And the third, not least important, the progress of engineering system is coming from the fact that we're resolving conflicts within a system. As an example, a car, we want to go faster with a car. Of course, easy enough to take and give it a little bit more power, but then we wasting more gas. And there's many of these examples. Now, when you solve that conflict, that contradiction, you actually start innovating. Do you want to add something here, Anatoly?
No, great, excellent.
Great.
Thank you.
So let's move on. As any other thing in the world today, engineering thinking also have a set of tools that help us with that process. Now, if we're going by the example, we can say a hammer, right? Why do we need a hammer? We could, use a stone or use a hand, but hammer really gives us some additional abilities to do the work, like additional weight, hardness to our hand. Great. Another example is a car or a truck in this case. It's an additional strength again to move weights faster and potentially bigger weights. Excel gives us more memory and ability to calculate faster and much bigger numbers, much bigger volumes of numbers, and so on. So engineering thinking tools, it's the same thing, but for our intellectual capacity to solve problems, innovate, generate more ideas, and so on. If you think about it, these tools, they give us somewhat superpowers in our engineering abilities. Let's dive into a couple of examples here in engineering thinking specifically, and how we'll try to show how they different from a regular attempts or traditional attempts to solve problems. And the first example is as simple as defining the problem statement and really understanding what is the problem that we're trying to work on and trying to solve. And we love this example of a flat tire. And the question is, what is the problem here? And is the flat tire is a problem? The answer is no. The flat tire is a failure. Now, failure can potentially cause multiple problems. And in this case, we described just 4 examples, but it could be much more. You know, the fact that we have flat tire, we cannot drive, or we're late somewhere, or now we need to waste more money to fix it or to do something with it. Potentially, it's a life-threatening situation in the middle of a desert. There's no water, no food. Now we cannot drive, we can't progress. And that's just one example of a failure, and that's important to understand. Causes multiple problems. And what we're solving, it's up to us. The easiest way to identify what is a failure and what is a problem is to ask ourselves, can it be fixed? Or because basically the rule is the failure cannot be fixed. Problem can be solved though. And an example for that, let's take the same tire. Let's say there's a puncture in a tire. We can glue that hole, yes, but the tire will never get back to the same condition, to the same new condition that it was before. It will still have a hole in it, but glued. So we can solve the problem of air running out of the tire, but will not ever fix the failure. Another example is, for example, a broken leg, right? Broken leg is a failure. And even when we treat the broken leg and the bones heal, it's still going to be broken and healed, but broken. So we're solving the problem of walking, but the leg or bone will never come back to exactly the same new condition as it used to be before. Okay. So to summarize what the problem is not what you see, hear, or feel. The problem is what you should do, what you should do differently potentially as a result of what you see, hear, or feel, right? And back to the example of a tire, now I need to do something else. Now I need to waste more money, or I cannot do what I wanted to do, like driving, and so on. So defining the problem is one of the probably most important tools in problem solving and engineering thinking. Without that, we cannot really progress. Another example that we wanted to talk about is root cause analysis. A very popular tool, very well known. However, traditionally, root cause analysis or root cause as a definition is a fundamental reason for the problem, right? It's great to know what is the fundamental reason, but it's actually it's not really helping us in any way. For example, fundamental reason that, you know, the earth is flat. There is nothing we can do about it. However, there's a practical definition, and we'll have an example in a moment, but there is a more practical definition that says a root cause, it is something that if we eliminate or fix, the problem is decreased or removed completely. That is something that we can actually act on, and that is very helpful. And let's go by example. Let's say we have a failure, and the failure is, I have a headache. Great. Why is that happening? And yes, we're using again, one of the traditional tools of 5 whys. Why is it happening? Well, potentially I have a high blood pressure. Great. Why is that happening? Because high salt concentration in my blood. Why is that happening? I really love full Irish breakfast, having it every day. Why is that a problem? Well, I have stomach problems, so Irish breakfast is not really working for me. And why do I have stomach problems? Well, my mom actually smoked when she was pregnant with me. Now, this is technically the fundamental root cause, which is great, but it's not really helpful for me. This is what's called a dead end, something that we can affect the future mothers and make them not smoke in the future, and that will make the future generation better to have less headaches. But for me right now, it doesn't solve anything. However, if you look back, for example, at stomach problems, well, maybe I can do surgery and actually fix it this way. Well, I don't want to go to surgery. What about the Irish breakfast? Maybe I can, change my diet. Great. I don't want to change diet. I love my Irish breakfast too much. Well, let's go next, right? High salt concentration, maybe drink some more fluids, more water. I don't like that. I prefer something else. High blood pressure, there's also always medications for it. And then if I'm too lazy to even do that, I'll just take painkillers and solve the problem this way. So as you can see, instead of having one potential root cause that I cannot do anything with it, all of a sudden I have 5 different options for solution of my current problem. And this is what we refer to. The root cause is not the fundamental root cause, but is the one that you decided to address and solve your current problem.
Great.
Anything to add, Anatoly? Sorry.
No. Great. Very, very, very good. Very good. Very clear.
Okay, great. So let's get to the Pre-Innovation Hub. So Pre-Innovation Hub or Pre-Innovation Platform was just Pre's guru. It had many different names and implementation over time. In reality, in short, it is a machine assisted facilitator for problem solving and innovation for innovation projects. And realistically, it's a collection of many different tools and processes that put together in one place as a tool to that help us to solve problems, to eventually innovate, to basically support our engineering thinking in our work life, and so on. Now, why is it important? I want to go back to this slide and look at this again. So we talked about math, right? There's some tools and software that exist. One of them is MATLAB. Great. What about electronics? There's a lot of CAD tools that are available out there for simulation and building the microelectronics layouts and so on. Same with physics. There's a lot of simulation tools that exist for physics. I'm not even talking about programming. Software engineering have enormous amount of tools out there. Now we determined that missing piece is engineering thinking. Well, the tool for engineering thinking is Pieza. And this is exactly what we provide. Now, a couple of samples in here. And before we dive into that, I want to mention that Pieza is split into 2 major pieces. Is the platform itself, where the work is actually done and problem solved. It's the whole project execution management, collaboration, and so on. And then there is a hub. A hub is more of a public facing, and we'll talk about this in a moment. It's more of a public facing interface where you can make your work public and pretty much show off. So let's dive into that. In a platform, everything is organized as projects. So even small project could be 5 minutes project, could be 5 months project. It doesn't matter. It's still within the context of the project because we want to keep all the information related to that in one place, and everybody who is allowed to work with the same project, they work on the same information as a collaborative team. Of course, as we talked about the problem statement, we built a whole process of how to help people to build the problem statement and actually identify which problem to work on. Then we're diving into the heart of our system, and the heart of our system is actually creative thinking tools or problem solving tools. And it's just a small example of what we have, just some screenshots. So we have some of the well-known, like cognitive chain and 5 whys, but some least popular, but actually much more powerful tool that help us think on the problem, help us identify the better solution, better approaches, help us think as an engineer. Overall, currently we have 11 tools. Again, as I mentioned, 5 whys and cosmic chain is something very well known, and brainstorming, for example. We added our own twist into all of them to make them more usable in a way that we think is better for engineering thinking. But some more advanced and least known tools like functional modeling and process functional modeling, this is where the real magic happens based on what we've seen from people who are working with these things. Now, a little bit where you want to add something, Anatoly?
Yes, please. Let's add. We have 40 principles tool, and we have a really new tool, action preventing action. This tool was created within our company. This tool helps to understand what our customer needs. I'm not sure you can find some relevant tool in the internet besides our tool.
Right. So again, since we're talking about trees, and by the way, hence the name trees is a theory of inventive problem solving. We replaced T with a P because it's a practice of inventive problem solving. And yes, all of these tools, apologies, some of them coming from trees, like in inventive principles or 9 windows, for example. Functional modeling is also partially coming from trees. And like some others, the action preventing action, it was actually invented by Anatoly and implemented in the platform. All of these tools, they, in one way or another, they working together, they contributing different, since the tools built with a different target in mind, they complementing each other as for different purposes. For example, round robin ranking, it's a tool that helps us to make a choice. And it's integrated into multiple different places in the platform where we have more than one option available and we need to make a decision. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about AI, for example. This is a big trending thing today. Of course, we couldn't do without AI, and we embedded already partially, and we continue developing an AI-based facilitator, or in a way, companion. Now, AI in our mind is not something that can solve problems, and it probably never will. We still need a human being to solve the problem, or solve the problem inventively to create something new. AI bases itself on the existing information. It's trained by definition on the existing information. Hence, AI can find existing solutions out there or suggest existing solutions out there, but it can't invent anything new. What it can do, and this is how we envision it, it can be a companion or a co-worker, if you will, or an assistant to anything that you're working on, right? As you know, many times you have you need to have a conversation with somebody to just get your brain going. And this is what AI really helps with. right? Instead of starting from scratch, we're using the artificial intelligence to get you going, to start with something. And this is an example of where we using artificial intelligence to help us to build problem statement. This is an example from cause and effect chain. And again, we're developing these capabilities more and more as we go. As we talked about previously, a hub is where the work is publicized. You can envision it as a social media for problem solving community. And if you think about it, you can think about it as an additional thing for your portfolio as an engineer that capable of solving problems. And now we have proof for that. That's a portfolio for problems solved by whoever is the engineer is. And these things that are accessible online, and accessible publicly, almost it's an additional to your resume, if you will. Now, we talked about a lot of things. We talked about the tools. We talked about why is it happening, why the problem happens with how we solve problems today. We're dedicated to change that. And in our mind, the only thing to change that is to change the whole culture of creative thinking and how we solve problems. And the only way to do that really is by education. And the easiest for our own future is to educate our kids. So we have to prioritize education of our kids, it doesn't matter. There is no limit to the age when you can learn, but I think for the kids, it's the most important to change the basis of how they think. And I think that's it.
That's it.
Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Anatoly. Thank you, Alex. I think the information is super, super interesting. I loved it. Ahora, chicos, bueno, toda esta es una información que para todos es totalmente innovadora. Sin embargo, hay una cantidad de cosas que es importante resaltar. Sobre todo a mí particularmente me llamó la atención cuando ellos mencionan la parte de todo lo que se puede ahorrar si aprendiéramos a resolver mejor los problemas en vez de invertir tanto dinero haciendo las cosas como siempre lo hemos hecho. O sea, estamos hablando de trillones de dólares que pudiésemos estar ahorrando si enseñamos a las personas y a los ingenieros a resolver problemas de una manera inventiva y diferente. Pero me gustaría que ustedes abrieran su chat y escribieran la pregunta para yo poder hacérsela a nuestros invitados. ¿Ok? Sin pena, cualquier cosa. O sea, la idea de este webinar es precisamente compartir toda esta información y poder hacerla llegar a más personas. Meanwhile, I would like you, Alex, to answer some questions about artificial intelligence. I mean, people are scared, teachers are scared, everybody's scared because artificial intelligence is going to make them lose their jobs, their businesses. And I was wondering, what's your point of view? We already heard about it in your webinar, right. But I would like to go to the educational segment. I mean, for teachers, how can teachers use AI as a leverage instead of as considering a problem? And I remember that we spoke once that in the 50s or 60s, the calculators were considered as a threat to most of the people. As an evil. Yeah, it was evil. And now everyone is using, even if you're not an engineer, even if you're not a student, you're using a calculator. So now I'm going to translate the question to our participants so
Sure.
they can understand. Ok, como vieron al final de la conferencia, estamos hablando sobre la importancia de incorporar la inteligencia artificial más allá de como una amenaza, como un aliado, ¿verdad? Lo que le estoy preguntando a Alex es qué considera él, cuáles son sus observaciones en la parte educativa, ya que los profesores se sienten amenazados con esta nueva tecnología que ya es inminente, no se puede controlar lo que está ocurriendo. Y él me contaba que en los años 50 o 60, cuando salieron las calculadoras digitales, los profesores lo consideraban como algo malo, algo terrible, algo que va a acabar con la matemática. Sin embargo, hoy en día ya las personas la usan, incluso si ni siquiera son estudiantes. Cualquiera puede usar una calculadora. Okay, now you can go ahead and answer.
Right.
Thank you.
So there's really two questions in that one question. One of them is how to use AI, and how to use AI is it's a very, very broad question because there's pretty much infinite uses of AI and how you can employ it. It's a very difficult question to answer because again, that tool only came out I think it's about 4 months now, 4 or 5
Yes.
months now.
Kind of, yes.
Yeah, and just to put numbers into perspective, if I'm not wrong, there's thousands of startups that have been created out based on AI technology within these 4 to 5 months. So that's one piece.
Okay, I'm going to answer that part of the question. Lo que me responde el ingeniero Alex es que una de las preguntas es ¿en dónde utilizar la ingeniería artificial? Y definitivamente es una pregunta muy amplia, ya que los usos de la inteligencia artificial son infinitos. De hecho, estadísticamente, a pesar de que tienen nada más 4 meses que se empezó a conocer en el mercado, no quiere decir que eso se trabajó hace 4 meses. Esto viene de estudio de hace más de 5 años. Lo que pasa es que ahora ya es una realidad y ahora nadie la detiene. Entonces, lo que él me dice es que hay más de 1000 startups o empresas que están saliendo que tienen que ver con inteligencia artificial. O sea, en todos los sectores, incluso en los que menos nos imaginamos, ahí están la inteligencia artificial. Okay, thank you, Alex. You can go ahead with
the other question is how does it impact professionals like teachers or pretty much any profession out there. The one saying that I really like about that AI is not going to replace you. People who use AI will. And that is very, very true, because what happens, we all use technologies and we need to adapt to these technologies that currently on the market. If we don't adapt to it, we're basically falling behind. Now, what happened to the education system, if you think about it, it started to have some trends lately, and we are kind of forced to use some of the technologies because of pandemic that we had. Now a lot of education online, for example.
Yes.
So education is forced to use the technology. But my question here, why do we need to force it if we should embrace it? And embracing that is basically AI is one of these tools that we can use to take the education even further. There is no reason to use that, because otherwise all we're teaching is something that's been taught many years ago, something that's been known many years ago. And this is something that AI knows much better than we do, right? So our only natural way forward is to use the technology like artificial intelligence and teach how to use these tools and take it even further.
Okay, thank you. Awesome. Lo que me está diciendo Alex es que el problema no es la utilización, no es la ingeniería artificial, sino cómo la vamos a aprender a utilizar, ¿ok? Porque básicamente la inteligencia artificial lo que hace es que recolecta una cantidad de información de cosas que ya existían previamente, ¿verdad? Y nosotros tenemos que utilizar la inteligencia artificial para ahorrarnos toda esa investigación, para incorporarla en nuestro día a día, en nuestros emprendimientos, en nuestros trabajos. O sea, yo he empezado a utilizar ChatGPT para cosas que ni se imaginan y todo me lo resume. Entonces ya me ahorra un tiempo averiguando algo que yo no puedo hacer para dedicar mi tiempo en producir, en innovar, en inventar, en pensar algo que todavía no puede hacer y yo creo que no va a llegar a hacer, que es la toma de decisiones. El pensamiento crítico es algo que solamente puede desarrollarlo el ser humano, porque eso es un don que viene de Dios. ¿Ok? We have a question here. Hola, buenas noches. ¿La implementación es a nivel educativo institucional como tal o individual a cada estudiante? John, abre el micrófono, porfa, y me explicas un poco. No entiendo muy bien la pregunta.
Hola, buenas noches.
Hello.
Veo que es una aplicación que se trata de inteligencia artificial, pero mi pregunta es, ¿cómo se va a canalizar? ¿Cómo va a llegar a los estudiantes? ¿Ustedes van a llegar a nivel institucional o cómo se va a llegar a los alumnos, a los jóvenes, para, para, para que ellos la puedan usar, la tengan a la mano? ¿Cómo va a ser la implementación? Es mi
De la
pregunta.
plataforma de ellos
Como tal, claro.
con el sistema educativo.
Exacto. ¿Cómo lo va a manejar el sistema educativo? ¿Cómo va a ser la implementación? ¿Tienen algún método ya planificado?
Okay, perfecto. So this is a very interesting question, and here is where Edutechnia takes its role. Okay, so he's asking me how could educational system or students get to leverage themselves with Priest Guru or with all your innovative apps and tools. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I answered him that that's our role in Edutechnia is to connect apps, startups, companies, disruptive companies that are inventing, that are innovating, and connect them with lessons, with webinars, with ebooks, with any kind of teaching. Okay, but in a very, very simple language, so they can use it and start changing the DNA of the modern education. Okay, so yeah. Sorry if I answered the question, but go ahead and
no, you did answer the question perfectly. One thing to add from our side, one of our missions is basically educate people. Right, educate people and teach them how to use the platform, and by doing that, change the mindset of how people think. And this is very important. And in today's world, without having the tools in place, people not really willing to change their minds, right? Especially the younger population. They're looking for a piece of software. They're looking for a tool. They don't want to use a whiteboard or pen and paper anymore. It's more a computer, an app, a tool, something, right? And this is where we hope that we can push the education and change of the mindset forward. Now, the piece, since it's our one of our missions, we are providing education for the educators.
Good.
Okay, and that's, I think it's a very important piece in trying to push it forward, because the more educators out there, the better our own future going to be, our own. And I'm not talking about the company future, I'm talking about the world's future.
Yeah, it's a huge task, but however we'll embrace it together, hopefully. Sí, John, en efecto, así como nuestra misión en Edutechnia es la educación de manera disruptiva e integral, para ellos en Priest Guru también la idea es educar a los educadores. O sea, la manera de llegar a los estudiantes es enseñarle a través de herramientas y a través de sistemas de pensamiento diferentes y disruptivos, poder ayudar a que ellos empiecen a enseñarle a los niños las herramientas que quieren utilizar, o sea, no el cuaderno, no la pizarra, sino algo pues obviamente que se adapte más con la tecnología, ¿verdad? Porque últimamente vemos muchísimos cambios en el sistema educativo, perdón, en el sistema de negocio, en el sistema de cómo se maneja la economía, pero vemos que hay un sistema educativo que es primitivo, que sigue quedándose totalmente atrasado. Y bueno, la idea de conectar Prisguru con Edutecnia es esa, pues. O sea, nosotros en Latinoamérica poder ser la voz de todas estas empresas que están en Israel, que están en Canadá, que están en Noruega, que están en Finlandia, que están en el primer mundo y que están innovando, y ser nosotros ese vaso comunicador que conecta a los demás con esta información y de manera digerida, o sea, que sea fácil para los niños, fácil para los padres y representantes y obviamente para los educadores que son los que van a llevar el estandarte de estas nuevas metodologías. ¿Ok? Thank you very much, John.
Just one thing to add about that, if
Sure,
anybody,
sure.
and I hope some people will be actually interested in that, let's get together into more kind of, we're happy to kick off the education sessions on our side for you guys, for the educators going forward. So basically just contact us and we'll kick it off.
Course. Él lo que está diciendo es que ellos están sumamente abiertos para que los educadores se acerquen a ellos de manera de que puedan recibir las capacitaciones. Ellos tienen también esta plataforma que se llama Prisguru. El hub de ellos está también traducido perfectamente al español, o sea que también van a poder recibir la información en esos dos idiomas. Now, I would like to ask you, you and Anatoly, where does the passion for education come from? O sea, ¿de dónde viene la pasión por la educación? Esa es una pregunta que se conecta mucho con nuestra comunidad porque, bueno, la mayoría somos personas que nos gusta entender el por qué.
I feel like Anatoly is a better person to answer that.
Go,
Oh,
Anatoly.
it's a difficult question. First of all, this is fantastic to change something and to learn something that will help you to change something. I think that I like learn. I'm learning all my life, and I recommend all to you to do the same. And this is something new, and this is our future, to learn how to solve problems.
And since when? I mean, year or what did this change?
I think you cannot. It's not like university. You completed certain course and that's all. I'm teaching students in the university, and after first lecture, they already started to work with platform and generate ideas, and they like it. And this is their, accumulation of knowledge while you are learning and trying to do something. This is a way.
Okay.
By the way, I want to add one very important point.
Okay.
The platform is translated to Spanish. You just
I said it.
Switch it. Yeah. Oh, you said it. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, it's okay. You wanted to add something, Alex?
Yeah, I wanted to add something. In terms of passion to education, I don't think it's something that happens at some point. It just happens. It happens. I don't know, coming from home. So me personally, I have to say thank you to my parents. But it's not even a passion. It's just a way of life.
Okay.
Right. You know, you can of course decide to learn something at some point, but I don't think it's something that we should ever stop. Right. If we stop learning, we die.
Wow, increíble. Gracias, Alex. Bueno, yo le hice una pregunta que de dónde viene la pasión, cuándo nació la pasión por la educación para Anatoly y para Alex, y él me responde que eso no es un momento determinado, o sea, no es una decisión, eso simplemente uno nace con esa pasión y por eso es que han tenido los resultados que han tenido. Lo que le apasiona a Anatoly es aprender, cambiar e innovar en el futuro de las generaciones por venir. Y Alex creció en ese ambiente, por lo tanto, pues, le debe gran parte de esta pasión a lo que vio crecer en sus padres. Thank you very much. Voy a aprovechar también que...
I think Dalmiro has the question as well.
Sí, sí, pero quiero presentar a Dalmiro. Dalmiro es una persona que admiro muchísimo, una persona que tiene una capacidad de desarrollo de ideas impresionante. No en vano decidimos asociarnos al inicio del año 2023 y formar Edutecnia. Sin embargo, él tiene 20 años de experiencia en la parte educativa y en sistemas educativos comparados. Bueno, tiene 4 títulos universitarios, una persona brillante. Y bueno, me da muchísimo gusto tenerlo aquí y que pueda abrir su cámara y hacer la pregunta que compete. Adelante, socio.
Buenas noches, estimados colegas. De verdad, un placer para mí saludarles desde acá de Venezuela. Al doctor Aguyansky, un gusto, un placer, un honor. Al ingeniero Alex, mi honor y mi respeto. Y a todos los participantes, por supuesto, y al moderador acá, nuestro ingeniero Romano Pechifeltri. La pregunta es la siguiente, fíjese, son 2 preguntas a lo sumo. Número 1, yo quisiera saber si la plataforma PRISGURU, que está fundamentada en la filosofía TRIS, teoría de resolución de problemas inventivos, puede integrarse a otras metodologías o a otros paradigmas para de esta manera nutrir y valorar otros esquemas de pensamiento que puedan incorporar un valor agregado, ¿sí? Si PRISGURU permite la incorporación de otras metodologías o solamente se enfoca en TRIS.
Okay, voy
la
con
otra
eso.
pregunta es la siguiente.
Ya,
Okay,
vamos a hacerle esta pregunta. So, what my partner and friend Dalmiro is asking is if PRISGURU is open to other methodologies or just strictly TRIS methodology.
Yeah, it's a great question. We historically started with trees and trees only. This is where the whole beginning was, and we started to build tools.
Yes.
Coming from trees. Over time, we switched gears and we basically said, well, it's not only trees specifically, it's problem solving and engineering thinking. And that's why we're trying to decouple ourselves further and further from trees. Yes, the trees is somewhere in the core. It is somewhere like some of the tools that we offering, like 40 principles and 9 windows and some pieces on other tools. So the trees is still there. The teaching of trees is still there. But our target is to enable problem solving, engineering thinking, and innovation. And this is one of the reasons that we offering processes not necessarily coming from trees. We offering tools that not only coming from trees. It's us collecting all of these information from different sources to build the best tool for the job. And that includes documentation as well, as an example.
Thank you. Yes. Sí, Dalmiro, en efecto, él nos dice que todo inició, o sea, tiene su raíz en TRIS, ¿verdad? Como teoría de la resolución de problemas, pero que va más allá y quieren desacoplarse de que sean nada más considerados como una parte de TRIS y están incorporando ingeniería del pensamiento y también la inventiva. Entonces, sí,
Perfecto.
la respuesta es que sí desean hacer esa diferenciación e incorporación de diferentes metodologías. La segunda,
Voy con la segunda pregunta es si Pris Guru está en la capacidad actual de incorporar un proyecto especialmente diseñado para estructurar una carrera denominada Ingeniería de Procesos Cognitivos o Ingeniería del Pensamiento, obviamente, pero para crear un nuevo paradigma educativo. O sea, estamos hablando de un paradigma educativo que debe transicionar de lo memorístico y repetitivo hacia la creatividad y la inventiva, la genialidad del ser. ¿Ok? Entonces, si Dalmiro Yarza en este momento a través de ANEMEC o a través de Edutecnia nosotros queremos desarrollar un proyecto para crear una carrera nueva que va a formar a los docentes, existe la posibilidad de que PRI Gurú acepte nuestro proyecto de crear una carrera virtual de ingeniería del pensamiento para formar nuevos docentes en el siglo XXI.
wow, awesome. That would be awesome. So he's asking us if Preschool is open to create a curriculum for teachers in Latin America where they can learn from scratch uh, what is engineering thinking and how to solve problems. I mean, a whole pensum where people can learn. I mean, because we are willing to create this project with people like you.
Right. I think what Anatoly is teaching today in his course in university, which is actually the official name of the course is engineering thinking.
Wow.
It's taught in one of the universities in Israel. I think it's a very good opportunity to take that material and adjust as needed to target it more educators rather than students. Am I in the right direction, Anatoly?
Right. By the way, if you go to our website, you can find a lot of articles and start to learn how to solve problem, how to look for root cause, how to create models and so on, and analyze processes. And we have a lot of real examples within blog and also, of course, within app. This is what also students read and learn.
Ok, thank you, Anatoly. Sí, Dalmiro, la respuesta es que sí, están dispuestos y están abiertos a colaborar con Edutecnia en la elaboración de este pensum del desarrollo del pensamiento, de la innovación, de la creatividad, del pensamiento crítico. Y bueno, pues para las personas que están conectadas y escuchando, eh, entiendo que hay muchas cosas que desconocen, así como nosotros desconocemos. Particularmente, yo simplemente soy un moderador y un representante de Edutecnia, pero quiero que sepan que Edutecnia tiene una misión y es educar a los educadores, educar a los niños, a enseñar a los niños a que piensen diferente, a que hagan cosas diferentes. O sea, ser disruptivo no es solamente una palabra que está de moda, es cambiar un paradigma que existe desde hace demasiado tiempo y que ya es hora de que evolucione. Y este paradigma, pues junto con mis socios y junto con todos los colaboradores de Edutecnia, vamos a incorporarlos muy pronto en nuestra plataforma académica. Así que bueno, si no tienen alguna otra pregunta, pueden ver el video en nuestro canal. Eso va a quedar grabado. Les voy a dejar aquí para que lo vean en YouTube. Nos buscan y se suscriben. Edutecnia World. Hágala. Okay, we have another question.
Hola, buenas noches. Mi nombre es Ámbar, estoy en Colombia y me gustaría saber algo. Por ejemplo, hablan de educadores. Por ejemplo, yo soy mamá de 2 niños y me gustaría aprender estas técnicas para aplicarlas a mis hijos. ¿Se puede? O sea, ¿podría yo capacitarme con esta técnica para aplicarla a mis hijos?
Thank you. Thank you, Amber. You're lovely. She's my wife. Okay, so she's wondering if it's possible for parents to learn these ways of teaching and be them the educators for their kids. Is that
Absolutely
possible? Yes.
Absolutely.
You have...
I mean, like we mentioned in the recording, and I think we talked about this here, there's no limit to the age at all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I learned that, I think, in my early 30s. I know people learning it in their late 60s. It doesn't matter, right? And I think as parents, we, by definition, teachers. We have to be.
Exactly. Thank you.
And that's about it. The answer is yes, it is definitely doable. The only thing, it does require a little bit of practice, a little bit of, practicing it yourself and kind of apply it everywhere else.
Ok, la pregunta que hace, como responde a esta pregunta Alex, es que sí, definitivamente van a haber, hay ya estructuras y metodologías para que los padres también, obviamente con una cierta preparación, una cierta práctica que vamos a conseguir a través de nuestras capacitaciones en Edutecnia y a través del hub de Prisguru, sí, los padres también van a poder adquirir herramientas y obviamente combinarlas con las que ya utilicen. Okay. Me encanta. I love it when people ask questions. That means that they're interested in what we're talking about. So congratulations.
I think we have more questions. Yeah.
Okay. Carla says that she's going to check the record because she's late. Perfect. And Almira said,
and again, we are at any point in time, please reach us either through you, Romano, or directly. Happy to help, happy to jump on a call at any point in time.
Perfect.
I mean, we our first motto, I guess, a long time ago was we wanted to change the world. This is how we're trying to change the world.
Wow. Bueno, está diciendo Alex que pues, su objetivo principal y su intención inicial fue de cambiar al mundo. Muchas personas verán eso como algo imposible o algo muy grande. Sin embargo, yo creo que mientras más personas se unan a eso, pues se puede lograr. Y yo creo que la educación es la clave para todo. Por eso también nació Edutecnia. Y hablamos de una educación integral y disruptiva porque vamos a abarcar no solamente la parte de metodología en la educación, sino la parte de negocio y la parte de crecimiento personal y liderazgo y cómo estas tres se integran en un ecosistema de manera que las personas cuando salgan afuera no solamente tengan una forma de hacer las cosas, sino que también tengan valores, que tengan ética, que tengan una preparación y que estas dos cosas puedan ser fusionadas y aplicadas en la educación, en los negocios, porque al final pues todo el mundo quiere tener resultados en sus negocios. Sí, la plataforma está en español. No, la plataforma no es gratuita. Tiene diferentes niveles de capacitación y diferentes niveles de inversión. Hay para personas...
Actually, the platform is fully translated to Spanish.
No. What John is asking if it's free. Sorry.
I thought that Dalmiro is.
No, he was.
Dalmiro's comment.
Yeah, it's a comment. It's not a question.
Okay, sorry.
So I was explaining, John, that you have like different kind of memberships for individuals, for companies, for schools. So.
Right. It's very important, especially for this forum. Yes, we have different subscriptions levels, targeted different people. The most important for the we do offer a free education license. An education license, it's either for educators or for the students. Yeah, the only caveat, we do need a proof that you are either an educator or a student, professor or a student, and that license needs to be renewed once a year. Oh. But basically, once we have the documentation, we enabling that for a year, and then next year if
so for educators and parents, the platform or some tools are free, and after a year you have to subscribe.
So for example, a student goes for studies 4 years degree.
Right? Okay. You have to prove that you're a college student. Okay, perfect. Me dice Alex que la plataforma es gratuita si tú puedes demostrar que eres un educador o si estás cursando una carrera universitaria. Los primeros 4 años, el primer año ellos te dejan la plataforma abierta, y a partir del primer año sí tienes que pagar la suscripción. Can you spell for me your website so they can?
Of course, I'll write it down.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Thank you. Bueno, y de esta manera, pues queremos agradecerles a cada uno de ustedes. En el mes de junio también vamos a tener un webinar. Muy pronto le vamos a estar pasando la información. De todas maneras, quería agradecerles por conectarse y hagan esta información. Hay muchos padres, hay muchos educadores que necesitan conocer de lo que nosotros estamos haciendo, y pues se necesitan voceros, se necesita gente que divulgue lo bueno, que divulgue los cambios y que realmente sean partícipes de estos cambios mundiales que vamos a hacer a nivel educativo con Edutecnia, con PRIS Gurú y con todos los aliados que les iremos presentando poco a poco. Me gustaría que Dalmiro pues cerrara este webinar, este primer webinar, que para mí ha sido todo un suceso, todo un éxito. Socio, adelante, cierra nuestro webinar.
Bueno, de verdad que estamos encantados, estamos felices de poder tenido este espacio aquí donde hemos tenido la oportunidad de presenciar de manera virtual con estos expositores de alto nivel internacional, gente de la talla de personas que han estado incorporadas en el mundo del TRIS, que prácticamente es la raíz fundamental del desarrollo y la innovación tecnológica de las grandes corporaciones a nivel mundial. El objetivo fundamental de Edutecnia, por supuesto, es integrar o trasladar todos estos resultados de experiencias, estudio de casos y éxitos en el desarrollo de productos y servicios innovadores hacia el sector educativo, de tal manera que marcamos una pauta y un hito en el sentido de generar pues espacios propios para poder compartir estas metodologías inéditas que continuamente siguen evolucionando y que van a estar de primera fuente a través de Edutecnia para América Latina, de la mano de ANEMEC también y por supuesto nuestros aliados internacionales. Quiero manifestarle a todo al grupo de personas que están aquí en este primer webinar, Mastermind Integración 360, de que este es el primer webinar. Viene una serie de actividades que van a reforzar todo este esfuerzo que nosotros estamos proponiendo, y que luego esto va a compensar, por supuesto, en una serie de actividades de formación permanente de la mano con PRIS Gurú y con otros científicos que tienen la misma idea y la misma noción de que la educación necesita un rescate urgente de todo lo que hemos venido nosotros aprendiendo. Y necesitamos, por supuesto, generar interés, ser comunicadores, ser portavoces de que las grandes corporaciones han tenido éxito con sus productos y servicios de alta gama en el desarrollo de elaboraciones, proyectos, servicios y productos. Pues nosotros también aportamos y apostamos por desarrollar sistemas de formación que sean competitivos, audaces, flexibles y que estén al alcance de todo, de una manera humanizada y de una manera democratizada. Así que bienvenidos a todos y esperamos seguir contando con ustedes y contar con la participación de muchas otras personas más. Feliz noche y que el Señor les bendiga a todos ustedes.
Amén, amén. Awesome. So Alex, Anatoly, we are super, super happy, super grateful with you. I mean, we've learned a lot, and I'm more than sure that we'll collaborate in the future, as you said in your video.
I really hope so.
Yeah, may God bless you and have a good night. Bye.
Thank you very much, everybody. And again, please
Thank
hit us when
you.
you need.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye. Thank you.